The Red Raiders continue to climb up the AP poll, this time entering the top 10 for the first time in over a decade. We'll look at where Texas Tech ranks within the top 10, some surprises in terms of teams that are now out of the top 25, as well as take a look at the latest Big 12 title odds and early odds for Texas Tech on homecoming, out in the 806 against the Jayhawks. Let's get to it. Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's RC Maxfield here for the Red and Black Report. Appreciate y'all tuning in to today's video. The Red Raiders just keep on stacking up those wins, and they haven't even, I think, played a complete game yet. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy there. I thought the Houston game, and I talked about it in the recap, the offense stalled out quite a few times in the red zone. I thought Tech could have easily put 50 on the Cougars, but they left a lot of meat on the bone, and I actually think that that is a positive for Texas Tech, that they are nowhere close to their ceiling, and they are nowhere close to peaking as it stands right now. A lot to discuss in today's video, though, and I think the thing that really a lot of people have talked about and are really one of those things where we look at it and it's like, does it mean a lot? The AP poll. And it does. It does mean something. Rightly or wrongly, it means something, okay? And your Red Raiders are in the top 10 of the AP poll for the first time in over a decade. Texas Tech, easily the top team in the Big 12. The next closest is at 18 in the BYU Cougars, a team that Texas Tech is set to face off against on November 8th out in Lubbock. Then you've got Arizona State and Iowa State in the top 25 for the Big 12 as well. But Texas Tech, as it stands right now, is easily the class of the Big 12 conference. And it's interesting from this vantage point, right? I think a lot of people in Red Raider Nation, and if you watch this, YouTube channel, you know that I have been very high on Texas Tech ever since that historic transfer portal class that they secured last December. And I'm not the only one saying that within the tech content creator space. And I know I'm not the only one in Red Raider Nation that is a fan saying they had high expectations. But now it's interesting to see a lot of these national media types starting to see where, oh, this Texas Tech team, yeah, they spend a lot of money. And by the way, I don't understand why they continuously bring this up. I don't understand it from the perspective of they only do it for Tech. Are we just not going to talk about how Texas is a flat-out dumpster fire right now, and they were the number one team in the country in terms of the preseason AP poll? They are no longer ranked, and they spent more money than Texas Tech did? Are we just not going to talk about that? The two teams that went out and spent the most money, at least reportedly, in this past transfer portal class, well, was LSU and Texas Tech. Let's go ahead and pull up where those teams are currently ranked. Not too damn bad. 9th and 11th. Not too bad. And you've also got teams that Miami, they spent a lot as well. Oregon spent a lot as well. Indiana spent a lot as well. A lot of these teams that went out and paid players at a high level in the portal are reaping huge benefits early on. But that's not the thing that stands out to me in terms of that. For Texas Tech purposes, the thing that stands out in terms of obviously having the money side of it is that James Blanchard, Brian Nance, and the scouting department for Texas Tech, elite. And that's something that's pivotal for Texas Tech moving forward, not only from a portal perspective, but high school as well. And you may have missed it this past weekend, right at halftime or pretty damn close to it. Jalen Brewster, a 5-star defensive lineman from the class of 2027, committed to Texas Tech. So the Red Raiders in the class of 2027 have the number one overall edge rusher and the number one overall defensive lineman, both committed in the class of 2027. And, they've got Adrian Redmond, a pretty relevant 4-star as well in there on the defensive line. So Texas Tech is taking names, and they are just crossing them off in terms of, hey, we're just better than you at this point. And, let's go ahead and look at the conference title odds, because I haven't seen a shift this large in a long time when it comes to conference title odds. This courtesy of FanDuel, as you can see on your screen. The Red Raiders started the season at plus 600 to win the Big 12 title. They are now plus 100 No one is within 500 of them in terms of the difference between Texas Tech and Arizona State. It's 500 in the odds. Okay. That is the same amount as basically Arizona State to BYU. The books out in Vegas, if you may remember what the opening odds were for Texas Tech down at Houston, was -8.5. That closed at -13.5. I can guarantee you this. Vegas lost some coin when it came to Texas Tech because everybody that I know that is a gambler, and there's nothing wrong if you don't do it, and you like to sports bet, they went and hammered that -8.5 for Texas Tech. And the Red Raiders honestly should have won by probably 35 or 40. But nonetheless, they covered anyway. This is a big deal for Texas Tech in terms of the odds perspective. We've talked about it here on the channel, saying that they are now being the hunted in terms of that aspect of things, and they are no longer the hunter. But Texas Tech has proven through 2 weeks in Big 12 play that they don't give a damn. Okay, they're out there and they're just going to beat, BTA everybody that's in their way. They don't care. Okay, and they're good enough on the defensive line, regardless of your offensive line. They're going to dominate that. And also a really big talking point that honestly I missed in the recap. So hand up for accountability on that front. Texas Tech's offensive line had the best game of the season last year, at least so far. The tackles were exceptional. Okay. Jacob Ponton, star. Easily the best performance he has had as a collegiate right tackle. Howard Sampson, probably the best game that he has had as a collegiate tackle. And that's saying something considering he played both at North Texas and in the ACC at North Carolina. RIP to that program. That program is so far down bad. It makes Oklahoma State look relevant. Okay. That being said, the Red Raiders are built in the trenches, and that's where you win football games. You've got the explosive playmakers on the outside. I thought Barron had a couple of bad throws against Houston, but overall, the books are seeing now that Texas Tech has been on national television multiple times against two teams in Utah and Houston that were previously unbeaten when the Red Raiders were facing off against them. That's obviously no longer the case. They're starting to take notice, and Texas Tech is now sizable favorites to win the Big 12 title in Arlington, +100. That's insane. I'd have to go look in terms of, is that the best odds for a power conference? In fact, let's go on a journey together, shall we? Is that the best odds? No, Miami. Fair enough. That ended that pretty quick. We went on a journey. That's live podcasting right there for you folks. But again, the Red Raiders are in a great spot to win what was thought to be really a wide open conference. It's not anymore. There's one clear team at the top and then a sizable drop off after that. And your Red Raiders are clearly the class of the Big 12, and it's not particularly close. All right, we're going to preview the game and talk about, keys to the game later on in the week here on the channel. But I did want to talk about the early odds for Texas Tech and Kansas, and pretty interesting stuff. Bam. 14.5. Wild number. I follow some KU fans on Twitter, and they were kind of surprised by the number. They thought it would probably be in that 11 range. I responded to them and said flat out, I don't think it's going to end up at 14.5. I think it's probably going to go up. If we're being honest, I'm talking I think this might end up around 16.5 because Texas Tech is ridiculous right now when it comes down to it. I just don't know any other way to say it. This team is just so good. And the caveats in terms of things that we would probably be, skeptical of going into a game against a quarterback like Daniels up at KU are nullified now. I mean, look what you've done to the first two really mobile quarterbacks you've played in the Big 12. That's not to take anything away from Daniels, but Devin Dampier looked pedestrian against you. Connor Wigman, hopefully he's okay in terms of injury, but you made him look pedestrian and really probably created nightmare scenarios for him for the next probably 4 to 6 months. It was tough for him, and let alone the Houston backup, who was also mobile, did have one good play. But overall, this Texas Tech defense just puts you in a position every single week to win. You are a defensive first team, and I think that's another reason why you're seeing Texas Tech so highly thought of when it comes to the odds to win the Big 12 title. Everyone knows Texas Tech is going to score points, right? It may not be 50 all the time, but you're going to be one of the better offenses in the country. We have not seen a Texas Tech defense like this maybe ever. This may be the best defense Texas Tech has ever had. At least it's in the conversation through 5 games. That's for sure. I mean, David Bailey is just racking up sacks right now, 5.5 on the year. He has more sacks as of right now through 5 games than any other pass rusher for the Red Raiders since Tyree Wilson was on campus, okay? That's all you need to know. This Texas Tech team is elite, and the nation is starting to take notice, specifically voters in the AP poll, as the Red Raiders are in the top 10 of the AP poll for the first time in over a decade, and they are the clear-cut favorites to win the Big 12 title out in Jerry World in Arlington in December. And, oh, yeah, they're pretty big favorites at home for homecoming, where they're going to be wearing those just absolutely special Texas Tech 100 anniversary jerseys. I wore it in the recap video. That's my favorite jersey Texas Tech's ever made. I mean, it's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. But you know what's also unbelievable? Y'all support. I appreciate you guys. 100% free content here on the channel, and y'all are making waves. We are almost to 13,000, just 200 subscribers away. So if you know a Red Raider in your life that probably wants some more Texas Tech content, because let's face it, we can't get enough right now. I know I'm out there listening to as much Red Raider content as I possibly can find, whether it's in the Texas Tech creator space, national media, it don't matter, right? We're all looking for more. If you know somebody in your life that hasn't found the podcast yet, go ahead and send it to them. Tell them to join the RBR squad. It's 100% free, and we're giving you daily videos when it comes to Texas Tech football and men's basketball, which is right around the corner, about 30 days away from Grant McCaslin and crew tipping off at the USA. But that's going to do it for today's video. Once again, a sincere thank you to each and every one of y'all that tuned in. September was a phenomenal month. We had over 12,000 new viewers of the channel. Sincere thank you on that front. And to the, well, about 18,500 of y'all that returned. Y'all are the best. That's why RBR, there's no place like it in the tech space. So really sincere thank you to each and every one of y'all. All right, that's going to do it for today's video. I'm RC Maxfield reminding you, as always, stay safe and rep 'em Tech.